Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Renee if you're new. Today's video we're going to be talking all about main character energy, and not just main character energy, but how to be the whole production of your life. Before we do dive into the video, I do want to ask you guys, when is the last time you spoke to your therapist? Today's video is kindly sponsored by BetterHelp. I'm sure you guys have heard of them before. Something that I really like about my generation and the generations I think that are below me is that we normalize talking about mental health. I think it's so important to have a therapist in your life, but therapy can be very expensive and time consuming and scary. I totally get that. BetterHelp makes it super easy for you. It's all online. It's all at the convenience of your life and space, just being in a more comfortable situation for yourself, financially, physically, and emotionally. BetterHelp matches you with a licensed professional therapist. BetterHelp is not a crisis line. It's not a self-help thing. It is professional counseling securely online. BetterHelp is a more non-traditional way of looking at therapy, and it has its benefits. They have monthly subscriptions rather than paying per session, which in traditional therapy settings, you have to pay per session, and it can be extremely pricey, especially if you don't have like insurance or anything. They also have a financial payment plan, so if you need help financially, they have options for you available. It's also super convenient. You don't have to sit there and try to find your own therapist. It does it for you based on what you're looking for in your therapy, and you can change anytime. If you don't feel comfortable with your therapist, you can just ask to switch. It's not like once you get a therapist, you are stuck. And there's a broader range of therapy that you might not know was available. There's so many different types of therapy. There's different approaches that you might not have been exposed to before. Having a therapist is so important, especially in the world that we're living in today. So if you are looking for a therapist that is more convenient for your time, affordable, and online, and just more easy to kind of navigate through, it's like that easy step to therapy. I feel like therapy can be very daunting and scary and time consuming and financially draining. So if you guys want, you can go to betterhelp.com/Renee Amberg and you guys can get 10% off. Everything will be linked in the description box for you guys if you do want to check it out. Highly recommend. I've used them before. They're great. Back to the video. Today we're going to be talking about main character energy, and not just main character energy, but the whole shebang. We're going to be talking about how to be the whole freaking production of your life. So if you've never heard of the term main character energy, this is like a Gen Z, I would say, like term that is getting more popular, I think. I've seen it, and when I first saw it, I was really drawn to it. It just sounds good, main character energy. And I Googled the actual definition, and it's the idea of thinking of yourself as the primary character and romanticizing your own life. And at first it's really intriguing, but then I think a lot of people think sometimes with the people who talk about main character energy is it's very selfish way of living. And I think the reason I was thinking that was because you're not getting the full picture. You're just kind of seeing what these people have been practicing being put into action without seeing the full picture behind what main character energy is. And so I did a huge brain dump of what I think main character energy is and what I also think other people don't see about it, and things that can be implemented as well so that you're not just living your best life, but you're also creating and leading your life as well. So we're gonna first dive into the internal side of things, and this is kind of where we put everything into play. The first thing that I think of here is flipping the switch. I think we are bullies, and not in the sense of bullies to other people, which I think there's also bullies out there in the world, but you're a bully to yourself. The way we internalize and pick at ourselves and the narrative that we talk to ourselves as is extremely brutal. And if you saw anyone treating anyone that you love the way you speak to yourself in your own head, you would be livid. So what I was thinking here is, how can we switch the narrative inside our own heads to being kinder to ourselves? The narration of a main character in a film or a story or a book, you always see kind of like that internal side of them, which makes you kind of connect and humanize with them. So we got to spin the narrative. Instead of focusing on things that we don't like about ourselves, or things that we don't want, or things that we fear, instead of focusing on those things, you need to start focusing on the opposite of those things. I think some things that we all kind of internally fear are criticism, disapproval, and rejection. If these don't speak to you, really think about what your biggest fear is. Like, what do you tell yourself that's a more negative way of looking at life? And try to find an antonym for those specific words, and instead of focusing on not doing doubting or fearing or not having these said negative things, focus on the antonym of those and accomplishing and attaining that. Something so simple as switching the words around on what you're focusing on will literally give you that kind of like shift in confidence, and it helps you magnify on what you want and kind of discount those fears or things that we are trying to avoid in life. I read a quote the other day that was talking about how war is not life. Like, I think a lot of us look at life as the war zone, the bad things, you know, like shit happens, but more shit is gonna happen. That's just part of life. And the war is not really that said bad thing. It's how we react to that bad thing. We have a war internally with ourselves every single day. Life is too short to fight yourself, to bully yourself, to be at war with yourself. So try really hard to switch your narrative or switch your focus on things that you want to attain and what you're going for rather than what you're trying to stay away from or get rid of. Number 2 is our mindset. Now that we've internalized this, how are we going to look at our film, book, story? I don't even know what to call it. We're the main character of what? Our lives. How are we going to look at our life from abroad, our mindset behind all of this? I look at it like a game. I actually first heard about this concept in Kevin Hart's book. It's a really good book. I highly recommend it. It's very motivating and inspiring. We are living in this crazy expansive world. If you really think about it, and I honestly don't do this very often because it can be so thought-provoking to the point where I literally can't even fathom thinking of it. We have this universe, we have this earth, we have these like playing games. It's like everyone has a different life path based on the decisions we make, based on our experiences, based on like where we are in this life, and it is one giant playing game. Look at it as like, this is my world to play with. I don't know why, but I just found out that The Sims, which I used to play all the time, stands for simulation. I've actually read a little bit too about the simulation theory, and that's just like basically like we're in this simulation and being played, kind of. I don't even know. That's kind of like the perspective of how I think playing that main character energy is kind of all about, is that this is the world that you're living in. It's a game. How are you going to play? And if you sit there and think about games that we play to escape, we play to have fun, we play to up level, we play to have challenges and just figure out a way to navigate this world. There's a reason why video games are so popular. It's like this story that you're living in and we're having fun with it. And if we look at our lives kind of as that game, like how are we going to take the challenges that life brings us? How are we going to up level? How are we going to go to that next level? It is really kind of cool and fun to play your game. And it's like you look at things that happen to you differently than kind of like that victim mentality role and staying on a level. Like you're never going to like have a challenge in a game and just stay playing that game like on that level. Like, no, you want to get to the next world or the next challenge so that you can like keep upgrading, create that wisdom and create that mastery of the game. That's the fun part. The fun part is not winning the whole game and then turning it off and you're like, okay, now what? No, the fun part is that challenge, is that up level. It makes it interesting. There's a term called the human experience, and I think we are here on this earth to play the game and have a human experience. Kind of focusing on this mindset will definitely help give you that main character energy, because you are the main character in this game. How are you going to play it? Those blocking points in our life that we all get, we now face them with a new kind of perspective of a challenge, of upgrading, of up-leveling, and we can see what we get from this. It's a cool way to kind of look at a different perspective of living here on this earth that we can never really fully explain. Now, with looking at the production of creating something, you have to also focus on the behind the scenes. That's a huge chunk of the whole story. And I think the behind the scenes is the work that you put in for yourself. It's not like it's just gonna happen. You have to practice. Practice makes progress. There's a book that I got from Amazon that is a confidence workbook, and it's made by a licensed therapist. It's such a good interactive journal. I highly recommend it, and I'll leave it linked down below for you guys. I pick that up whenever I'm feeling low or not as confident as I feel like I should be. It's not just about having confidence, but it's also about progressing that confidence and building it up as we go. Accepting challenges, whether you like it or not, is definitely a way that you can practice this confidence. I think saying yes more to things and like facing your fears and getting out of your comfort zone can bring so many benefits in your life, definitely in correlation with your confidence, but also saying no more. I think we always feel the need to like keep living this life, whether it's for ourselves, our ego, pride, other people, but saying no more is just as important, I think, as saying yes more. And quitting. I feel like we put a lot of pressure on ourselves and shame around the idea of quitting things, because that's not really looked upon in a light manner in our society, with all this like productive, toxic kind of like ideal that I think society and social media has put around the idea of productivity. There's a question that I ask myself now when I am given the option to either take something or let it go. Would you feel more contracted or expansive after doing said thing? Will it bring you down or will it bring you up? Will you feel tense or will you feel expansive? And I think that would be the answer to what exactly you should do. So if you're ever in a crossroads, you're like, am I doing this because I'm like fearing it and it's gonna get me out of my comfort zone and I'm gonna like feel so much better after it's done? Or am I doing this because I feel the pressure or need to do this because X, Y, and Z? Now is the time to get that main character energy out. This is what I think main character energy is kind of defined by. And the first thing I think of when I think of main character energy is action. Acting like it, taking action, living your life, implementing all those things we did kind of behind the scenes, that internalizing, that mindset that we've created now. How are we going to implement this in our day-to-day lives? Action. Like, it's that simple. I think a lot of people think that you have to feel or get something before you take action, but that's not always the case. For example, if you're not feeling motivated, you think I can't take action. But guess what, guys? Motivation does not create action. Action creates motivation. It's actually the opposite. The more that you do something, the more motivated you become to keep doing that. So you kind of have to just take action first. That's the first step in pretty much anything. If you are waiting to feel more confident to do X, Y, and Z, and you work on that workbook and you work on your internalizing and your mindset around confidence to feel confident, to become confident, that is not going to do it. You have to act confident to feel confident. And the more that you practice that action, the more you're going to have these things like manifest in your life. You sometimes have to kind of just fake it till you make it. There's points in my life where I've done this, and it's amazing to see how when you just tell yourself you're gonna act like something and you just kind of have that intention throughout your day, like you literally become it. And if you keep going, it will just be who you are. You have to implement these actions into your life to even feel them and become them. Action, feel, become. And then consistency. You just keep doing that and you just can create this perfect ideal life for yourself. Don't let the fear of criticism and disapproval from people hold you back. We're gonna go back to the first step, and that's the flipping of the narrative. When you act like you're going into a situation with the approval of other people, acceptance of them, rather than going into a situation with the fear of rejection or criticism, you're meeting them at a level where you've already saw your end goal and you're acting as if you have the approval already and acceptance from them. If you go into a situation where you're thinking about the negative or what you're fearing, the disapproval, the criticism, you're gonna meet them at that level. You're gonna be shy, you're gonna probably hunch down a little bit, and they're gonna meet you at that level and they're gonna kind of dominate over you because you're not exuding your confident energy out. Go into the situation thinking what you want out of the situation. Also, speak up. I think we live in such a world right now where opinions are screaming at us, and I think I fear especially kind of just speaking my mind to people. I'm a people pleaser. Sometimes I get angry with myself because I'm constantly trying to please other people without first pleasing myself, and I give them the answer they want to hear because I don't want them to not like me. What am I thinking? I'm thinking fear of rejection. I'm not going into the situation open arms and welcoming energy. I'm going into it with rejection energy. That's what I'm gonna get. I'm gonna sit there and act as if they have already rejected me. So I'm gonna people please. I'm going to be inauthentic. I'm acting based on other people's perception of me, or what I think their perception of me is going to possibly be, and giving them what they want to hear or what I think that they want to hear instead of giving them me. People are no more important than you. Keep in mind, I didn't say they're not as important as you. You are not more important than them. They are not more important than you. We are all on level playing grounds. Please don't ruin your chances of getting to know people because you go into situations with the fear of them rejecting you or them criticizing you or not approving you, because I'm telling you guys, the world is a better place than that. The biggest difference I think in main character energy is that main character energy focuses on yourself and your actions and how you portray and implement your life to your world. The production is all about not only living the most perfect life for yourself, but also creating and leading a really, really good life. So there's also a team involved. I think main character energy can look very selfish because it focuses on yourself rather than other people. Remember that with the production comes a team. It's not just you. There are other people involved. Your team, I consider the people that you come in contact with. Your mother, your father, your grandparents, your family, your friends, your significant other, the person that bags your groceries at the grocery store, the guy that held the door open for you. Everyone that you come in contact with is part of your team. I came across a quote one time that was like, some days I feel like insert negative thought. Then I straighten my crown and then I remember whose kid I am. Or you could say, I straighten my crown and I remember whose voice I'm speaking for, whose role model I am. Like, you can make something so beautiful out of that statement, and it's so true when you remember those things, like the people who look up to you, your family, the people that you speak for, and the people that you have empathy towards. You literally sit up straighter and you live a more kind of like confident lifestyle. And I think your background and the people around you are all there to empower you. They should not be looked down upon just because you have main character energy. They are also main characters in their own story. Give them something to be inspired by. Have a leading role in their life as well. And then last but not least is the impacts that we create. With main characters, there is always some sort of impact that the story reader gets from your story. That's the overall theme of your life, the morality of your story. What are you gonna leave? What are you gonna give to the world with your story? And I think that this can all be summed up as being a good person, connecting to something bigger than you, whether that's faith or spirituality, something that you kind of live for, like your bigger intent behind why you live this life and ways to make you align with the good in life. I call this kind of like the backbone to your insecurities. We all struggle with insecurities, and sometimes when we align with something bigger and we live for something bigger, gives us that backbone to when we are struggling with something, to not only fix it, but feel like we're not alone in fixing it. That we're all like having these insecurities or problems to help us grow or to help us impact other people. It makes you look at life in a more positive way and helps you surround yourself with better. Be the good. You are the good. Add to the solution instead of the noise of this world. Focus on accomplishments over possessions, experiences over material. Focus on relationships over ego. Finding something bigger than you and creating that impact is definitely going to give you that main character energy, because you are doing something good and you're leaving your story with an impact on someone or something, the world, the people that you're around. And yeah, I hope you guys got something from this. Fuck the main character energy. Be the whole damn freaking production. Do your thing. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. I'll see you guys all in a future video. Mwah. Bye.